With a month left until the November 5th US presidential election, voters and experts speaking to Reuters agree it's going to be a tight race between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. In Arizona, where a Bloomberg poll Friday says Harris holds a razor-thin lead, voters shared with Reuters which issues were most important to them.
1 month ahead of the election, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, happily. I want a president who's going to tell the truth, work together to solve problems, and I think that's the most important thing for me.
Main thing for me is immigration and inflation and the economy, so I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
In Maryland, some voters wanted to see a historic change.
I want to see a woman president. I want to see an example of a leader in a position of power.
Others were skeptical.
If you put Kamala Harris up there, or if you put, Biden again, or whatever, they're just the same person. It's just another person in a suit or a pantsuit in her case, just telling me, things I either want or don't want to hear. And nobody ever, respects their policies that they push for anyway.
According to the latest Reuters Ipsos poll conducted over 3 days and published Tuesday, Harris leads Trump 47% to 40%. But the poll says Trump still has a lead in some measures of confidence in economic issues.
Historically, the economy has been the biggest factor affecting elections.
Political analyst Darrell M. West, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, says focusing on economic issues carries even more weight in Midwestern states.
In general, that part of the country has lagged behind the East Coast and the West Coast in economic well-being. So even though the unemployment rate is low, people have a sense that the economy is not working well for them. They personally are not doing well, and this creates a lot of anxiety on their part about the future.
Americans are also split on immigration and reproductive rights, with one issue favoring Republicans and the other issue favoring Democrats.
The stakes of this election are very high. America is divided into two tribes. Neither tribe trusts the other tribe. They're very suspicious of the motives. They think the other side wants to destroy the kind of America that they love.
West says the Democrats have gained a lot of momentum over the last 2 months since Harris entered the race. But the outcome of the election, he says, rests on states that aren't reliably Democrat or Republican but can be won by either candidate.
U.S. stocks closed solidly higher on Friday as a stronger-than-expected jobs report reassured investors who had worried the economy may be slowing too rapidly. The Dow gained 0.8% to notch a record closing high. The S&P 500 added 0.9%, and the Nasdaq climbed 1.2%. Friday's non-farm payrolls report from the Labor Department showed job gains increased in September by the most in 6 months, and the unemployment rate ticked down to 4.1%. Ross Mayfield is an investment strategist at Baird.
Markets are higher today. I think a reflection of something that we've been looking for, which is that good news is again good news, right? So jobs report comes in better than expected, and rather than the market sell off because it means the Fed might not cut rates or might have to get more aggressive, it means that a recession is farther away than maybe some nervous investors had expected.
The robust jobs data prompted traders to further reduce bets of a 50 basis point rate cut at the Federal Reserve's November meeting to just 8%, according to the CME Group's FedWatch tool. Meanwhile, with tensions escalating in the Middle East, oil prices continued to climb, pushing the S&P Energy Index up 1%. Other notable stock moves on Friday included Spirit Airlines, which tumbled more than 24% after a report showed the carrier was in talks with bondholders about a potential bankruptcy filing. Other airlines, including Frontier Group, United Airlines, and American Airlines, all rose sharply. And shares of EV maker Rivian fell more than 3% after the company cut its full-year production forecast and delivered fewer vehicles than expected in the third quarter.
Imágenes que huelen. La casa, como pueden observar, completamente se está encendiendo, se están incendiando. Que se ha podido encender. Es incontrolable el fuego que podemos observar. Voluntario a esta hora de la...
I've been here 7 months.
7 months. And altogether, it's how many months?
15 months.
15 months.
Sweden's commitments to the collective defense of all allies is steadfast. The deployment of this battalion will help make Latvia, Sweden, but also NATO as a whole be more secure.
We are very grateful and happy about Sweden being a member of NATO. I think it's a historic decision which strengthens the whole alliance and also strengthens the region. And of course, we are also highly appreciative and grateful for Sweden making a decision sending troops to Latvia.
A majority of EU member states agreed Friday to impose tariffs of up to 45% on imports of Chinese-made electric vehicles. But the European Commission did say it would continue to negotiate with Beijing to find an alternative solution. The body said it had received enough support in a vote of EU members in the bloc's highest profile trade case. The Commission had proposed final duties for the next 5 years. It wants to counter what it sees as unfair Chinese subsidies after a year-long anti-subsidy investigation. The tariffs range from nearly 8% for Tesla to 35% for SAIC and other companies deemed not to have cooperated with the EU investigation. It's been a highly divisive issue within the bloc itself. EU sources said 10 members supported tariffs in Friday's vote, with 5 against and 12 abstentions. It would have taken opposition from a qualified majority of 15 EU member states to block the proposal. Sources said Germany, a major car producer, voted against. Its car industry urged Brussels and Beijing to avert the planned tariffs through a negotiated deal. BMW CEO Oliver Zipse called Friday's vote a fatal signal for Europe's auto industry. Mercedes-Benz also called the tariffs a mistake, while Europe's top car maker Volkswagen called it the wrong approach. Reuters reported Wednesday the measure was likely to pass, with France, Italy and Poland planning to vote in favour. China's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. The EU's stance towards Beijing has hardened in the last 5 years. It views China as a potential partner in some issues, but also as a competitor and a systemic rival. The Commission says China's spare production capacity of 3 million EVs per year, which needed to be exported, is twice the size of the EU market. Given 100% tariffs in the US and Canada, the most obvious outlet for those EVs is Europe. Beijing this year launched its own probes into imports of EU brandy, dairy and pork products. The moves were widely seen as a retaliation.